Hey y'all, welcome back. So I want you to imagine you and your partner had an argument last night, right? So y'all went to bed upset, whether y'all live together or not, right? But you know that both of y'all went to bed upset because the argument hasn't been resolved. And then that morning, right, your partner says to you, "So you want me to go to church with you?" And there is that moment, right? There is actually a moment of pause, right? What I like to call the pivotal moment of decision. And it occurs in every significant argument and conversation, right? I promise, every single one, right? It's that point in the diverting path where you can choose violence or you can choose peace, right? So, the big question in situations like that is, are you going to give a response that maintains the rupture that occurred the night before, for example? Or are you going to give a response that shifts the trajectory from rupture to repair? And I guess the related question, what's more important to you? Right? Is if being right is more important, you might just choose violence, right? However, if the repair and the connection is important and a healthy relationship is important, right? Then you have a choice here on what your response can be, right? So we could talk a little bit about what your partner's comment may mean. They're not here to speak on their behalf, right? But we can assume that their question of, "Hey, you want me to go to church with you?" may have been, mind you, a week, but an attempt at repair, right? Or it could have been something else. It could have been manipulation. It could have, who knows, right? So there are some possibilities. But what we're talking about right now is that pivotal moment of decision and what your response is going to be. So, if you want to choose violence and maintain rupture, right, then you might say something like, "Well, what kind of question is that?" I mean, you may really want to know what kind of question it is. However, I'm telling you that response is probably going to maintain rupture, right? Or you could say, "Duh, you already know that I want you to go to church. Why are you asking stupid questions?" That's choosing violence. It is. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Here's I feel like this one is like the ultimate here. Well, clearly you don't want to go, so nah, I don't want you to go with me. Right? So three different responses, but I'm telling you, all of those are choosing violence. Mm-hmm. They are. So then you may be asking yourself, well, what am I supposed to say? What am I supposed to say to a question like that? Well, I'm glad you asked because there are a lot of other responses that you can make, right? So you could say, well, thank you for asking. It would be great for us to go to worship together today. That's it. Period. Don't add nothing else, right? If you want to shift into repair, right? So that's one option. If you actually want to shift into repair, thank you for asking. It would be great for us to go to worship together today, right? Because what is your ultimate goal? If your ultimate goal is connection, and spirituality, the way to do that through repair is, thank you for asking, right? Acknowledging the question and saying, yeah, I would love to do that. All right. Another option for repair is, I'd love for you to go to church. However, I'm not sure why you even have a question about that. Right? The acknowledgement. I'd love for you to go. However, I'm not sure why you have a question about that. And notice how that response is different than, well, what kind of question is that? It's a different question, right? It's a different type of response. So, in those situations where it seems like your partner is offering a weak attempt at repair, right? Maybe they don't have the skills yet, right, to really repair. Or there are a variety of possibilities, right? But being able to stop in that moment and ask yourself the important question, am I choosing violence or peace? But more specifically, right, do I want to maintain the rupture and the argument here, or do I want to shift the trajectory to repair between the two of us? All right. So, shifting to repair means, hey, I have to keep in front of me the actual goal of connection, healthy relationship, right? In that particular example, spirituality, right? If pettiness is your ultimate goal, you can definitely give one of those other responses, but know that you are maintaining the rupture if you do that, right? So, yes, we can be driven by our emotions in situations that lead to ongoing rupture, right? And disconnection. So, this was just offering some assistance here on how you can shift those situations from rupture to repair, right? And that's just one example, but hopefully that helps. All right, I'll see y'all soon. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are about the responses. And if you have some alternative responses, I'd love to hear those. All right. All right.